There are so many different ways to create handmade gifts, whether it's crafting, baking, sewing, or being able to find amazing items at thrift stores. They all come about by creativity and a giving of our time and talents. Those handmade gifts require us to ponder our dear recipient as we create. And this pondering and pouring out of ourselves results in a gift that comes from the heart. Today, I'll be sharing a variety of handmade gift ideas that are also budget friendly. Whether you enjoy crafting, baking, sewing, thrifting, there will be something for everyone. I hope you'll join me. I would venture to guess that many people, probably most of you, have a favorite recipe for banana bread or zucchini bread or some other type of quick bread like that. And that is a popular gift to give, especially at Christmas time. But today we're going to take whatever your favorite recipe is and dress it up a little bit with an unexpected presentation. You're going to make your batter as you normally would. However, you may need to double your recipe depending on which form you decide to use. We are going to use a bundt pan for our first loaf. And I guess you would call this maybe a sunflower. I will link everything I use down below in the video description if you'd like to check out the specific items that I use. The larger pans and the greater volume of batter will necessitate an increase in baking time, so you'll need to be mindful of that and just watch it. I believe this bundt pan ended up taking between 45 minutes to an hour to bake, but that will depend on your recipe as well. You don't need to fill this bundt pan all the way to the top. If you want to just use a single recipe, just use it as is and it will result in a smaller bread, but it will still look beautiful even if it's not filled all the way to the top. For this project, I tripled my usual banana bread recipe and divided it pretty evenly between this pan and the next one I'm going to show you. I love the shape that this bundt pan makes, and I think for Christmas time, it makes a beautiful wreath. So really all you need to do is put it on a pretty platter and tie it with a bow, and it makes a stunning homemade gift for someone. You can find a lot of different plates and platters at the thrift store very inexpensively. This next one is completely different, but equally charming. It is a little gingerbread style house with trees around it, and we are just going to bake up the same banana bread recipe in house form. Handmade gifts come in all different forms, and they don't even have to be 100% from scratch. You can find many blank wooden shapes and gifts that you can hand paint yourself. I think I found this one at Hobby Lobby. It is a rainbow stacker, and I am painting this for my little girl for Christmas. I am using acrylic paint for this project. It would also be really beautiful just stained with different wood stains if you want a more natural look. You do want to bear in mind the type of paint you're using. If you have a very young child who may still put toys in his or her mouth, my daughter no longer puts things in her mouth, so it's not really an issue, but just something to keep in mind. Sometimes a handmade gift is just a matter of putting together the pieces. You can so often find cute little teacups and creamers and all sorts of different items at the thrift store that you can put a succulent or a different type of plant in. I like to take the whole inner pot of flowers or plant out of the decorative pot that it came in and place the entire thing into the creamer or teacup. The creamer or teacup doesn't have drainage holes, but the inside pot does, so it will still allow for some drainage. And it just makes it into something really special and beautiful. Other items I frequently see at the thrift store are photo albums and scrapbooks, and quite often you can find ones that are in very, very good shape. I actually found this blank scrapbook still in its wrapping, and it came with the photo corners and everything. This would make such a lovely and meaningful gift. You could fill it with photos or pressed flowers from the garden or any sort of special notes. This simple little wooden box is from the dollar store, and we are going to turn it into a sweet little dollhouse in a box. I'm going to begin by removing all of the hardware, and then we're going to stain the whole outside of the box plus some of the inside. You don't need to worry about the very bottom or the inner part of the lid because we're going to cover that up later. You could use a wood stain, or in this case, I just used watered down brown paint, and it works very well actually. Once that's all completely dry, we're going to reattach the hardware to our box. Next, we'll use some scrapbooking paper to line the inside of the box lid. Then we'll glue the scrapbook paper into the lid. You can use a glue stick or hot glue, whichever you prefer. The glue stick is a little more forgiving if you need to reposition or trim things slightly. Then we'll do the same for the bottom, but you don't need to go up the sides of the box unless you want to. I stained those, and I'm just going to line the very bottom of my box with the scrapbook paper. Next, we're going to make a little window to go in the back, and I just cut out a square of white paper and gently colored over it with a blue colored pencil for some sky or glass effect. And then just some white trim around and the little crisscross piece in the center. Finally, we're going to finish it off with some little details like these books I found at Michael's, little teacup and saucer, a plant, and we're going to make some bedding as well. This bread is just about the easiest bread you will ever make. It is 4 ingredients, no sourdough required, and it's a delightfully crusty loaf that you can easily give as a gift. You can find the recipe for this easy bread down below in the video description. I like to wrap it up in some parchment or a nice tea towel, and then tie it up with some homemade cloth ribbon that I made from a sheet. I have been using this easy scone recipe for years. It is my favorite. I love how versatile it is. You can add cranberries, dried blueberries, currants, really anything you want, even chocolate chips. I will put the recipe down below, and I was inspired by this recipe to make a little tea gift basket. Like I've said many times before, the thrift stores always have so many baskets from which to choose, and sometimes you can find nice linens to line your basket or doilies. And if you can't find them at the thrift store, often antique malls will have plenty of vintage doilies, and they're usually not very expensive. We're going to include a sweet little teacup and saucer in our basket. You do want to be mindful of possible lead in dishes, and that goes for modern dishes too, not just vintage ones. So several things you can do. You can buy a swab kit to test for lead. You can look up the manufacturer information and make sure that they are lead free. Generally speaking, white dishes tend to be less likely to have lead, and the more colorful the dishes tend to have higher levels of lead. Did you know that you can find wrapping paper at the thrift store? I have seen it very often, and I found this roll of adorable wrapping paper from 1990. It's Hallmark wrapping paper, and I almost hate to open it because it's in its original wrapping, but I am going to use this on some of my children's presents this Christmas. While buying brand new wrapping paper can feel wasteful at times, I figure it's already been purchased, it's already been made, it already exists at the thrift store, so someone may as well use it. Otherwise, it's just going to end up in a landfill anyway, unused. There are plenty of other materials to use besides wrapping paper. I am going to wrap one gift in a thrifted tea towel, and I'm going to wrap another gift in my husband's old dress shirt that ended up with holes in the elbows. And I'm making ribbon out of some old shirts. And then we'll wrap another gift in just a grocery bag turned inside out. I hope you found some inspiration for creative and handmade gifts for your loved ones this season. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing for more cottage living, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.